The movie kicks off with Eddie standing on the balcony of his brand new condo. He feels the breeze on his skin, trying to stay calm, even though some dangerous guys are pounding on the steel door behind him, yelling for him to come out. Suddenly, he hears a gunshot and sees his neighbor get killed. The men outside warn him again, giving him one last chance. Then the story flashes back to how it all started. This time, Eddie looks completely different, messy, tired, and walking aimlessly through the streets like someone struggling with addiction. But Eddie isn't an addict. He's actually a writer who's supposed to be working on a book. The problem? He has terrible writer's block and hasn't written a single page. To make things worse, his girlfriend dumps him, handing back his apartment key. She just got promoted to editor, and she's fed up with Eddie's lack of progress in life. Depressed, Eddie drags himself through New York and unexpectedly runs into his ex-brother-in-law, Vernon, who he hasn't seen in years. Vernon suggests they grab a drink. They chat about Eddie's ex-wife, who lives upstate, and then Vernon shifts the topic to Eddie's book. Eddie admits he's stuck, and Vernon immediately guesses he has writer's block. Vernon, who works with a pharmaceutical company, gives Eddie something, an experimental pill. He claims it's FDA approved, ready for market release, and extremely powerful. The pill, called NZT, supposedly unlocks 100% of the brain's potential. Vernon warns him it costs $800 a pop, then rushes off after a phone call, leaving Eddie with just one pill. On his way home, Eddie decides to try it. Right then, he bumps into his landlord's wife, who scolds him for being late with rent and not having a stable career. As she's ranting, the pill kicks in. Suddenly, Eddie sees everything more clearly. His brain feels super sharp. Confident, he surprises the woman by recalling details about her law studies. He impresses her so much that he ends up helping her write a paper, and the encounter gets more personal. Back in his apartment, Eddie notices how messy it is. With his new energy, he cleans up quickly, sits at his laptop, and writes non-stop, as if the words are pouring out naturally. By the next morning, though, the effect is gone. Still, he has hundreds of pages written, enough to hand to his editor. She's shocked by the quality and keeps reading non-stop. Excited, Eddie goes back to Vernon, who looks beaten up and bruised. Vernon admits the drug is actually illegal and not from a big company, but from a secret lab. Still, Eddie desperately wants more. Vernon agrees, but only if Eddie runs errands for him. Eddie reluctantly does it, but when he returns, he finds Vernon murdered. The apartment is trashed. Realizing the killers were after the pills, Eddie frantically searches until he finds a hidden stash of NZT, some cash, and an address book. He hides them just before the police arrive. After being questioned at the station, Eddie is released. He takes another pill and transforms himself. Haircut, new clothes, fresh energy. He finishes his book in just 4 days and starts mastering new skills, piano, languages, even martial arts. With his new confidence, Eddie makes connections, including a stockbroker who introduces him to the world of finance. Eddie begins trading stocks, but quickly realizes he needs more money. He borrows $100,000 from a dangerous Russian loan shark, who warns him he'll suffer badly if he doesn't repay. Using NZT, Eddie flips the money into millions within weeks. Soon, Eddie's success draws attention. Reporters call him the mystery trader, and he even gets invited to meet a powerful business mogul, Carl Van Loon. Eddie's girlfriend, intrigued but uneasy about his sudden transformation, meets him for dinner. The chemistry between them reignites, but danger follows. Eddie notices a strange man in a tan coat tailing him. One night, he blacks out completely and wakes up with no memory of the past 18 hours. Disturbed, he tries to piece together what happened, especially after hearing about a murdered model he may have been with. Things spiral as Eddie's ex-wife reveals she once used NZT too, but it ruined her life. She warns him to stop before it's too late. Meanwhile, the Russian loan shark discovers Eddie's secret and starts using NZT himself, becoming even more dangerous. Eddie's girlfriend gets dragged into the chaos when the loan shark chases her. At Eddie's urging, she takes a pill to escape and barely survives using her wits. Horrified, she tells Eddie she never wants anything to do with NZT again. Eddie, however, can't stop. He hires bodyguards, works with Van Loon, and brokers the biggest merger in corporate history. He even hires a chemist to recreate NZT and figures out how to manage the side effects. But the threats keep coming. The tan coat man, rival businessmen, and the loan shark all close in on him. At one point, Eddie almost gives up and considers suicide, but in a shocking move, he kills the loan shark and even drinks his NZT-infused blood to survive. A year later, Eddie is no longer just a writer. He's running for U.S. Senate. He claims he's completely off NZT now, but the intelligence boost seems to have stayed permanently. Carl Van Loon tries to manipulate him by offering unlimited pills, but Eddie confidently refuses, proving he's in control. The movie ends with Eddie happily back with his girlfriend, impressing her as he orders food in fluent Chinese, without any pills. And that's Limitless. Thanks for watching and smash that like button.